Hi there, Karen Flaherty from Living by Human Design. Hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to be talking about the Gate 1, which is all about creative contribution. So we've got the Sun in Gate 1. It started midday on November 5th and it goes until November 11th. We've got the Earth in Gate 2. So we literally got Gates 1 and 2, which are the yin and the yang, the most yin and yang of the I Ching. The 2 being the yin and the 1 being the most yang or the most male. The 2 is the most female. And basically, it's kind of an interesting setup because the 1 is all about the actual, it's the actual life itself, and the 2 is directing the life itself. And that's why actually Richard Rudd says, and a lot of other people say, that the way that women can create and birth and guide everyone on the planet is what allows the continuation, the propagation, the literal creation of the others on the planet. Females only make up half of the planet, but we provide birth of everyone on the planet. And so it's this, 1 is very interesting. It's very male, very much a male energy, very much a, here's what we are and here's what we're doing kind of thing. But it's the 2 that's the creation. It's the receptor. It is called the receptive in I Ching, and the fact that it's receptive kind of belies the fact that it's the creator, right? We're the receptor and yet the creator of all life on Earth. And so it's an interesting setup in that they're both together this week. So we start the week with no definition at all in any of the centers there. And then for the planets are still retrograde. That includes Mars, which just became retrograde last week, Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune, and also the nodes. And if you notice in the nodes, we've also got the 1 and the 2. The 1 is in the south node and the 2 is in the north node. So we have a repetition here. And actually on this date, on November 8th, which is actually the date of the full moon and a full lunar eclipse on November 8th, which happens to be Tuesday in the United States. It's our midterm election day. And we will be having a full moon that night as well as full lunar eclipse, which should be pretty interesting. So if you look at, it's like if it was a game, it would be funny. This is, so we've got the 1 and the 2 and the sun and the earth. We've got the 2 here in the moon. So that'll be all about the receptive. That'll be for at least part of the day. It'll be the receptive. And then we've got the 2 and the 1 again in the nodes, and then the 1 in Mercury. So the moon for motivation is all about the 2, which is the receptive, but the 1 in Mercury is all about being the creative and making things happen. So we'll see how things turn out on Tuesday. So this Gate 1, as I said, it's called the creative contribution or self-expression, the creative or the self-expression in the original I Ching. So it's creation as a primal force. It's the energy potential to manifest inspiration without limitation. And in the incarnation crosses this week, we've got the crosses of the Sphinx, self-expression, and defiance. And then in Gate 2, this is all about resource allocation. It is about the receptive, as I said, but it's also the direction of the self in the original I Ching. And so here receptivity is the primal base through which any response is determined. So this is literally the creation energy is where women or the female of any species is receptive to the male coming in, and it's the primal base through which the response is determined. In other words, whether it creates or not. But it's the root of all action. And in the Gene Keys, dislocation is the shadow, orientation is the gift, and unity is the CD. So this creativity in the Gene Key 1 is very important because here the shadow is entropy, the gift is freshness, and the CD is beauty. In the graphic, Richard says, creativity can never be controlled. It simply comes when it comes. And when it is absent, there is nothing for you to do but to wait and relax. And this is what beauty is all about. The beauty is in the creativity, or the creativity is in the beauty. And they really can go back and forth. When we see something that's creative, we remark and we say, oh, isn't that beautiful? Or isn't that lovely? And isn't that, something that we want to remember, right? And with that creativity, it can't really be controlled. It comes in lots of different ways. And so this is not, it can be creativity as in cooking, or, things that we do around the house, or things that we do in our jobs. But it's also about the creativity that comes from art forms and music and dancing and writing a book and things that really come from source, or they come from somewhere else, or they come from within, from a very deep place, right? Obviously they can't come from within us, but it's coming from a very deep place, and usually a place of great introspection, whereas they're not usually coming from outside, right? It's a very, very much an internal force. So he also says numbness is actually an extremely fertile state of awareness, where the numbness is where there is nothing, right? And we're waiting and relaxing and allowing for the creativity to come. And the genius of freshness is to bring something to the world that no other has ever seen before. And that's, again, the beauty of creativity. It's seeing something with freshness, with fresh eyes, with, a different perspective, a different way of being. And that's all about who you are. And so that perspective comes from within, and it comes from a place of real, depth and introspection, and really being able to say something or do something or write or create something in a way that hasn't been done before. So it is a real freshness, and it brings more beauty to the world. So this week we've got a lot of different people, including Leonardo DiCaprio. We'll be talking about him in a minute. But these are the writing across of the Sphinx: expression, self-expression, and defiance. His happens to be the left angle cross of defiance. These are some personalities born in Sun Gate 1. And you can see that there are a lot of creative people, right? These are the creatives. And so these are people who were born early in November, or, kind of from the 5th till the 11th-ish. But it's a lot of people. And even noted some others over on the side. A lot of creative people, a lot of personalities, and a lot of actresses, writers, artists, directors, all kinds of people are on this list. And it's, it kind of goes without saying, this is the kind of energy it is. And so good for them for using that energy in a way that really made sense for them. So here's the chart for Leonardo DiCaprio. He was born on November 11th, 1974 in Los Angeles, California. He's a projector with a 6-2 profile. I was kind of surprised. He's the left angle cross of defiance. And, from all, done so many films and been quite successsul. And he's done it all as a projector. So there's nothing wrong with being a projector. Some people think that you can't get a lot done, but he obviously has. And not only that, but he's a film producer. He's got his own production company called Appy and Way Productions. He's also got the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation, which is mostly geared toward environmental activism. And so he's won an Academy Award, a BAFTA, 3 Golden Globes. But more than that, he's done a lot of films, but he's done them in his timing. He was very active when he first started in the 80s and 90s, but then and I should say through the 2000s, but then by 2013, he was just about to turn 40, and he basically took most of the year off. This usually happens when projectors get to that point in their careers, because no matter how many breaks they've taken up to that point, it gets to be a turning point for them. They have to take care of their health, or they're not going to be able to continue doing what they love. And he loves what he does. He loves being an actor, and he loves really trying out lots of different characters. He's done many biopics, And so he really, most of the directors and production companies say that he really becomes the role. He really becomes that person when he's on film. So just in looking at his chart, he's got the defined head and ajna with this channel of logic, 63-4. So he's downy and suspicious with the 63, but with the 4, he's got the answers. And that 4 happens to be up in his, right up in his incarnation cross. He's got the 1 and the 2, as we talked about, the 1 being the creative, the 2 being about allocation of resources. He's been very good with his money, obviously. And then he's got a lot of openness here. 4 centers open, 2 motors, the will center and the solar plexus, connected by the 40-37, which is all about contracts and keeping your word and keeping your promises. So it makes him somewhat emotional, but a very mild emotional wave, and usually in relationship. And then the will center allows him basically to keep doing what he's doing. What's unusual about Leonardo's or Leo's chart is he's got this entire channel of the salesperson, which makes him very nurturing and intuitive with the spleen, but it also helps him to it allows other people to feel the will center from him, and people like being around him, right? With both the will and the spleen defined. And then what connects it is to it's part of the business circuit. This is the business circuit. This one is the business circuit, and it doesn't hurt to have the channel of logic up there. So so while he is relatively tribal, because the business circuit is tribal, he doesn't really have much of the defense circuit, and he's only got the 50 here. So he cares. He does care about the values of the tribe or of our culture, and he cares about the environment in a profound way. But he's got a lot of the business circuit types of energy. He's got the 32, which is starting a business, 18, which is the gate of correction. He's got that in his down here in Pluto. And Neptune, he's got the 9, which is all about focus. So he is rather focused on whatever he's doing. The 32 is in Uranus, so he's going to do it in a little bit of a strange way, but he has done it well, and he's played well, with the directors and producers in Hollywood. But he's also gone off on his own path. Appian Way has done some very interesting films, but most of them have been environmental, and most of them have been documentaries. Don't Look Up was, an environmental film that was a story as opposed to being a documentary. Let's see, he's got the 57 intuition in his moon, which motivates him, and the 12, which is part of why he's so protective of his reputation. The 12 is all about caution and protection of one's reputation, and he does that. He also has the 45, which is the gate of the king, which doesn't hurt when you're in Hollywood. And he's got the gate 7, which is all about democratic leadership. So, I don't know that he's asked to lead too many things, but he is the lead person in his own production company, of course. Got the gate of enthusiasm over here, which is nice to have, in addition to 56, which is the gate of the storyteller. So when he does, move into that role, he's able to tell the stories. 43 is the gate of breakthroughs. So he does have this logical bent about him, but then he comes through with a breakthrough, and he can tell it as a story with enthusiasm and playing a leading role, which he does. So he does have the 39, which is the gate of provocation, coming off the open route. He's always been one to, with that open route, this is where someone can find an adrenaline rush by doing things that are risky. And apparently early in his career, he did a bunch of things that were risky with his friends, including jumping out of a parachute when the cord didn't work. Luckily, the instructor was with him and was able to pull the emergency cord, but it could have, been very serious for he and his friend. The open sacral kind of leads to the understanding of why he takes the breaks between films that he does. So in 2013, he took the entire year off. By 2017, he had taken 4 years off. And, kind of had a few films coming out in the meantime, really wasn't working all that much. So, throughout his 40s, he was taking some time off. He's back, and of course, through COVID, he's been taking some time off. But when he does come back, the films are generally successful. So that's good. But he's been voicing a bunch of documentaries, especially around the environment and things like that. So taking it a little more easy, not having the crazy schedule that he had in his 20s and 30s, which, nobody talks about it. He doesn't do a lot of interviews, but it probably burned him out to a certain extent. So having this open sacral means that he doesn't have the energy that some other people have. And, just for example, while, a Keith Richards, who's a manifesting generator, is still performing at 70, in his 70s now, and writing books in the meantime and doing other things, Leonardo DiCaprio was taking the time off and taking the time to rest, working on his own projects, but taking some time to rest. He also has the open G center, which means that, he has, as far as I know, 2 properties, and from what I've read, one in Los Angeles, which is where he grew up, and then one in New York City, and that's it. Some people have places all over the world. He doesn't. He travels, yes, but he doesn't. It seems like he likes his places, and that's enough for him. He's got the open throat, and so he's someone who really wasn't heard at the beginning. His big breaks came when a friend of his mother's, told a casting director about him. He had been on over 100 auditions, and then she told a casting director about Leo, and then he started getting some commercials, and that led to some, success in his teens, because he'd been looking already. But as a projector, he needs to be invited, and that friend of his mother's was the one to actually invite him in, or tell the casting director about him, so that he get invited in to the various commercial auditions. And then it worked for him. And he was invited and invited and invited after that, which is perfect for a projector. So let's see, he's got the 42 in his Chiron, which is all about completions. He does have the 53, which is about starting things, and then the 42 is completions. And as a 6-2 role model, he's somebody who's here to be a role model, but also to be the hermit. And that kind of fits his description. He's dated, as you probably know, many models, many people who are much younger than him, but he's not settled down, and not, or at least not chosen to settle down. And, as a projector, probably won't have any children. He's not really here for that. So that's Leonardo DiCaprio. Happy birthday, Leo, on Friday this week. And I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a creative week. I hope you find a way to be creative in your own way, whatever that is, or to let other people be creative with you. So have a good time, be well, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.